The last thing Daniel Carter expected that morning was to lose the biggest opportunity of his life because he stopped to help a stranger. At 8:35 a.m., Daniel was standing outside a luxury office building, wearing his only good suit, holding a folder with his resume, and checking the time every few seconds. His job interview was scheduled for 9 a.m. after 8 months of searching, hundreds of applications, and countless rejection emails. This interview was different. This could change everything. Daniel was a 36-year-old single father raising 2 children by himself. His son Ethan was 10 years old. His daughter, Lily, was 7. Their small apartment was not perfect. The paint on the walls was old. The kitchen table had one broken leg that Daniel had repaired twice. Their refrigerator made a strange noise every night, but it was home, and Daniel worked hard to make sure his children never felt poor. Every morning he packed their lunches, to help them with homework, washed their clothes, and made sure they went to school with clean uniforms their mother had left 3 years earlier. After deciding she wanted a different life, she rarely called, and Daniel had stopped expecting help. He was not angry anymore. He was just tired. That morning, before leaving for the interview, Ethan looked at his father while eating cereal. "Dad, are you nervous?" Daniel smiled a little. "You always say brave people aren't scared." Daniel laughed softly. "That's true. Being brave doesn't mean you aren't scared. It means you do the right thing even when you are." Lily hugged his arm. "Are you going to get the job?" Daniel looked at his children. "I'm going to try my best." But deep inside, he knew how important this job was. The company was offering a management this position with a salary high enough to finally pay their overdue bills. No more choosing between electricity and groceries. No more pretending everything was fine. No more telling his children, "Maybe next month." Daniel arrived early and sat outside the building, preparing himself. Then he heard shouting. Near the entrance, an elderly woman was standing beside a security desk. She looked around 70 years old. She wore a simple beige coat and carried an old black handbag. A young employee was speaking to her harshly. "I already told you, you cannot just walk in here." The woman looked confused. "I have an appointment." The employee rolled his eyes. "Everyone says that." Several people walked past them. Some looked. Nobody stopped. The woman opened her purse and searched for something. "I have the name written here." Her hands were shaking. The employee sighed. "Ma'am, please move. You're blocking the entrance." Daniel watched from a distance. He checked his phone. 8:47 a.m. He had only 13 minutes. He could ignore it. He could walk inside, where it could protect his own future. After all, nobody was helping him when he struggled. But then he saw the woman's face. She wasn't angry. She wasn't demanding special treatment. She looked embarrassed, like she wanted to disappear. Daniel remembered something his own father once told him. A person's character is revealed when helping someone costs them something. Daniel looked at the building entrance. Then he looked at the elderly woman. He took a deep breath. "Excuse me," Daniel said as he walked over. The employee turned. "Can I help you?" "Yes," Daniel replied calmly. "You can stop humiliating this woman." The employee frowned. "Who are you?" "Nobody important," Daniel said. "Just someone who thinks people deserve respect." The woman looked at him in surprise. "I'm fine, sir." Daniel smiled. "Maybe you are, but you shouldn't have to prove that." The employee became annoyed. "Look, I have work to do, and she has dignity," Daniel replied. A few people nearby stopped to watch. The employee stepped back. "You should mind your own business." Daniel glanced at his phone. Again. 8:55 a.m. His heart sank. He knew what was happening. He was going to miss his interview, but he stayed because walking away felt worse. The elderly woman finally found the paper in a bag. "I was invited here to meet the company director." The employee looked at the paper. His expression changed slightly. But before he could respond, Daniel's phone rang. That was the recruiter. Daniel answered quickly. "Hello, Mr. Carter. Are you arriving soon?" "The interview starts in 5 minutes." Daniel looked at the elderly woman, then at the office doors. He knew the decision he was about to make could cost him everything. "I'm sorry," Daniel said quietly. "I won't be able to make it." He ended the call. The woman looked worried. "You missed something important because of me." Daniel forced a smile. "Maybe, but I couldn't leave you standing here alone." She looked at him carefully. "What is your name?" "Daniel." She nodded. "Daniel Carter. I won't forget that." At that moment, Daniel had no idea that the woman he had defended was not just an ordinary visitor. She was Margaret Whitmore, the founder of one of the largest investment companies in the country. A billionaire who had built her empire from nothing, and the person who owned the very company where Daniel had just missed his interview. Daniel walked home that afternoon feeling like he had made the right choice, but doing the right thing did not make the bills disappear. When he opened the apartment door, Lily ran toward him. "Daddy." Daniel smiled and hugged her. "How was school?" "Good. I got a star on my spelling test." "That's amazing." Ethan noticed his father's face. "You didn't get the job, did you?" Daniel sat down quietly. "No." The room became silent. Ethan looked down because of the interview. Daniel nodded. "I missed it." Lily looked confused. "Why?" Daniel explained what happened. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Ethan said something Daniel never expected. You helped someone. Daniel looked at him. Yes. Then, I think he did the right thing. Those words meant more than Ethan knew. But the next few days were difficult. The company never called back. Daniel sent more applications. Nothing happened. His landlord reminded him about late rent. The electricity bill arrived. The car needed repairs. One evening, Daniel sat at the kitchen table after the children went to bed. He opened his wallet. $23. That was all he had until payday from his temporary delivery job. He covered his face with his hands. For the first time in months, he allowed himself to feel overwhelmed. I'm trying, he whispered. The next morning, Daniel received an unexpected phone call. Is this Daniel Carter? Yes, this is Margaret Whitmore. Daniel froze, the woman from the office entrance. I hope I'm not disturbing you. No, ma'am, I wanted to thank you for what you did. Daniel smiled slightly. I was just helping. No, Margaret said. You did something many people would not do. Daniel looked out the window. I actually lost a job interview because of it. There was silence. Then Margaret asked, would you have changed your decision if you knew who I was? Daniel thought for a moment. No. Why? Because I didn't help you because you were important. I helped you because you were a person. Margaret became quiet. A few days later, Daniel received an invitation. Not for an interview, for a meeting. He arrived at the same building this time. He entered through the main doors. Inside the office, Margaret was waiting. She was dressed simply. No expensive jewelry. No security team, just an elderly woman sitting near a window. Daniel, she said warmly. Smiled Mrs. Whitmore. She shook his hand. I wanted to understand something. What? Why did you stay? Daniel looked confused. Because someone had to. Margaret smiled. Then she opened a folder. Inside was Daniel's resume. I reviewed your work history. Daniel looked surprised. You did? Yes. She looked at him. You have 10 years of experience. Strong recommendations. Excellent leadership skills. Daniel sighed. I guess my timing was bad. Margaret shook her head. No. Your timing showed me exactly the kind of person you are. Daniel sat quietly. Then Margaret said, I want to offer you another interview. Daniel smiled. Thank you, but I don't want special treatment. Margaret nodded. That's exactly why I'm offering it. The interview was scheduled for the following week. Daniel returned home with hope, but before the interview day arrived, something unexpected happened. A news article appeared online that showed Margaret Whitmore, and beside her was Daniel. The headline read, Unknown Man Defends Billionaire CEO Outside Her Own Company. Suddenly, everyone knew about him. Some people praised him. Others criticized him. Some said he only helped because he wanted a job. Daniel felt uncomfortable. He never wanted attention. Then the worst happened. The company received pressure from investors. They questioned whether hiring Daniel would create bad publicity. Daniel received a message that the interview was cancelled. He sat on his couch, staring at his phone. After everything, after choosing kindness, he was back where he started. That night, Ethan found his father sitting alone. Dad. Daniel quickly wiped his eyes. I'm okay. Ethan sat beside him. You always tell me to be honest. Daniel smiled sadly. I'm disappointed because you helped that lady. Daniel looked at his son. No, he paused, because sometimes it feels like doing the right thing doesn't matter. Ethan hugged him, and for the first time in years, Daniel let his child comfort him. The next morning, Daniel made a decision that would change everything. Daniel decided he would not beg for the job. He would not ask Margaret Whitmore for favors. He would simply thank her and move forward. He wrote a letter. Mrs. Whitmore, thank you for your kindness. I appreciate the opportunity, but I do not want my actions to be misunderstood. I helped you because it was right, not because I expected anything in return. He placed the letter on her desk, but Margaret was already waiting. I read your letter. Daniel turned around. Didn't want to create problems for you. Margaret smiled. You still don't understand. Understand what? She walked toward the window. For 30 years, people have respected my money. She looked back at him. Very few people have respected me. Daniel stayed silent. Margaret continued. When I walked into that building, everyone saw an old woman who didn't belong there. She paused. But you saw a human being. Daniel looked down. I just did what I would want someone to do for my mother. Margaret, it smiled. That is why I want you here. Daniel hesitated. What about the investors? Margaret laughed softly. I am the founder of this company. I have faced bigger problems than people questioning my decisions. She handed him a document. It was a job offer, not a charity position. Not a favor, a real management role. The salary was more than Daniel had hoped. For I can't accept because of what happened outside, Daniel said. Margaret nodded. Double quotes. Good. Double quotes. Daniel looked confused. Good. Yes, because that means you are accepting this because you earned it. Daniel read the offer again. His eyes became emotional. For years, he had fought alone. And now someone finally saw his effort. Months later, Daniel's life began to change. They moved into a better apartment, not a mansion, not a luxury home, just a safe place, where his children had their own rooms. Ethan joined a basketball team. Lily started art classes. But the biggest change was not money, it was peace. One evening, Daniel and his children visited Margaret. She sat with them at a small table eating homemade cookies. Lily looked at her. "Are you really rich?" Margaret laughed. "Yes, like really rich." "Yes." Lily thought for a moment. "Then why do you wear the same coat?" Margaret smiled. "Because expensive clothes don't make people kind." Daniel looked at his children. He realized something. The lesson was never about becoming rich. It was about staying human. Years later, when people asked Daniel how he got his dream job, he always told the same story. "I didn't get it because I helped a billionaire. I got it because I helped a person, and that choice changed everything." The greatest opportunities in life do not always come from chasing success. Sometimes they come from choosing kindness when nobody is watching, because your true character is not shown when helping is easy. It is shown when doing the right thing costs you something. If you were in Daniel's place, knowing you might lose your biggest opportunity, would you still stop to help someone in need? If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who believes kindness still matters.